As someone new to the district, it's very easy to locate and research information in a number of places regarding the discussions, feasibility studies, community meetings, and input, board work sessions, and meeting minutes summarizing the activities on this topic. I have discerned there has been a great deal of time, expertise, and money invested in many studies and planning process for our buildings. As a quick recap, let's go back to 2013. In September of 2013, Smith Associates began a feasibility study of all buildings within the district. These findings were shared December the 4th, 2013 board meeting. The extensive findings and a blog were shared with the community, and you can still view that on our website if you would like to see that information. There were 6 task force meetings and building tours, all open to the public for participation, which began on September 30th of 2013, some 4 years ago. In January of 2015, the facility cost analysis process began. Between March and December 2016, extensive presentations, discussion on options, and community input on facilities was sought out specifically on the projects. The topic was on agenda items at each of the school board meetings. Most recently, beginning January 2017, with consideration to all prior work and input, the board voted to close E.O. Muncie Elementary, knowing the community wanted a new school and did not want a referendum or tax increase. A plan to renovate Anderson was approved. On July 2016, the approval of the facility plans became an agenda item that was to be considered at each of the following board meetings. I've just outlined a few of the studies, and if there's a detail of these at the back of, for the board packet that gives more specifics on where this information can be found, and it is extensive. At the January 2017 board meeting, Mrs. Emmel said that Thought Exchange, which is a survey system, showed that the public does not want a referendum. She said per the survey, the community wanted new facilities but no new taxes. She said options had been discussed and it was time for a decision. Mr. Glessing made the following recommendation, seconded by Mrs. LaCour. Motion to move forward to close E.O. Muncie Elementary School according to the following plan. Close E.O. Muncie at the end of the 2017-18 school year. Renovate, expand Anderson Elementary to a three-section K-4 school with capacity for preschool, considered to accommodate 75% of the E.O. Muncie population, with the remaining 25% transferred to the remaining elementary schools through redistricting. Issue a request for proposal for architect, designs, provide cost, and develop a bid package to accomplish this mission. The board was to select the architect to proceed with final design and bid package, board and architect to select contractor after bidding completed, project to be capped at $3.5 million with goal to be completed at less than $3 million. Final completion date no later than July 1 of 2018. All funding to be provided from current available funds from capital projects, rainy day, with no bond, debt, or tax increase. There will be no decisions made or agreements entered into by the board on the future of E.O. Muncie property prior to the final closure of 2018. All action to implement this plan are delegated to the administration staff under the direction of the superintendent with close coordination with the board. The motion of January passed 3-2. In April 2017, the architect was approved from the Anderson project. And I might add that there was a selection process that was gone through for the selection of that architect. Drawings for the building construction were completed and the project put out the bid in early August. The project that was approved at the January meeting included the addition of 8 classrooms, office space, restroom, and the addition of a new kitchen remodeling of the current kitchen and a cafeteria to a larger cafeteria with seating for 150. Since the original project was cost estimated, 2 additional classrooms were added. It is estimated that the additional 2 classrooms added over $350,000 to the project cost. At the September 17th board meeting, the loan bid that was received for the original bid was rejected, and a motion carried on a 5-0 vote stating the project was to be rebid at a later date. I believe that the thriving economy, the abundance of new construction in the area, higher material costs, and a shortage of construction workers resulted in a bid that was higher than the estimates. The addition of 2 additional classrooms also added greatly to the cost, as they were not in the original estimate. Also, a criticism of that original bid was that there were some parts of the project that were left out. The reason for that was that we knew that with the tight time frame that the building had to get started sooner than some of the site work did and some of the other options. Some of those related things that weren't in that original bid were an estimated amount of $200,000 to $300,000 for kitchen equipment. The broad range there is due to the fact that some of the equipment can be moved over and some of it is obsolete and cannot be reused or reallocated. Furniture. New innovative furniture for the building, estimated cost between $100,000 and $200,000, which is to be paid for out of capital projects, was not also shown in the cost of that original bid. The new roadway, sidewalk, and additional parking, based on written estimates, it will take approximately $125,000 to address the safe travel and parking to and from campus by students, cars, and buses. We have received a letter from the Mayor of Madison which pledges to assist in making the proper infrastructure possible. At this time, I'll read the letter dated September the 11th to the interim Madison Superintendent Bill Narwold and Madison Consolidated School Board. For the past 6 years, I've been proud to work with the Madison School Corporation to help accomplish their goal of growing the building of our school system for the future. This is a noble task, vital to the future of Madison. I know there have been a number of ideas and questions about the best way to move the physical infrastructure of our school system forward. I do not plan to insert myself into that decision. I trust in the Madison Consolidated School Board's ability to make an informed decision. You have my pledge that whatever they decide moving forward, we are committed to assist in making the proper infrastructure possible. More specifically, the need for a roadway with exit and entry off of Michigan Road. Also, not in the original bid, as was mentioned tonight, the expansion of the gymnasium, including new HVAC system, as it currently is not air conditioned. And also, since then, we've looked at considering a sprinkling system for the building, which will improve the safety of the building. So, what does all this cost? If you look on the board, we've anticipated all of the additional costs. And it's kind of hard to see there, but the original rejected bid of $3,530,000 is put up there as a beginning reference point because we know that's what it was bid a few months ago. Now, we're hoping that with more competition that number will go down, but through recent events in the economy, we're not sure about labor cost and material cost, but that's a number that we can build on. The addition of a 20-foot addition onto the gymnasium is estimated at $270,000. Adding HVAC, which would include lighting, plumbing, electrical to the gymnasium, $135,000. Sprinkling of the building, as we looked into this, the overall cost of sprinkling the entire building would be $180,000, which will greatly improve the safety of the building. and thus improve our insurance premium being lower. The bleachers for the gymnasium, $35,000. Outside work that was not in the original bid, access drive to Michigan Road, $84,000. A southeast parking area, $23,000. A northeast parking area, $15,000. And I believe one of those lots is 27 parking spots and another one's 15, something like that. And then an additional parking lot for 60 cars, which would help with the spectator part of the gymnasium, $90,000. And we plan on listing that as an alternate as well as some of the other items. So now we get into soft cost. You have owner's contingency, which is money that we don't spend unless we have to, but you put it out there so that you have a little reserve, is $150,000. Professional fees, mainly design fees, $220,000. Reimbursables and printing, $10,000. Geotech, which is the soil test and boring to make sure that you have good soils and good drainage system, testing, $3,600. And that's been taken care of and been paid for. The Department of Homeland Security building permit, $2,000. And I'd like to say that we informed, after the bid was rejected, we informed the state that we were going to ask to hold that permit at that time until we resubmitted, because with the changes that we were looking for, we would have to resubmit that permit anyway. The survey, which was done on the property so that you get proper elevation to plan appropriate drainage, $4,200. The total for that, including hard cost and soft cost, is estimated at $4,751,800. We tried to be aggressive and overestimate whenever we could, when we couldn't use a hard number, but these are estimates. Now, I'd also like to note, to be perfectly clear, that we have already budgeted $300,000 for kitchen equipment in accounts that we would have to spend anyway because of the upgrades that are necessary to the current kitchen equipment. We also, I'm showing here the $200,000, which is already budgeted. We want that building to be outfitted in the most innovative furniture that we can possibly get. And also the paint and carpeting of the existing classrooms will be done with our maintenance crews. The $50,000 is mainly for the materials that it would take to paint the carpeting, and as those crews have shown me in the past few months that I've been here, they're very efficient at going into buildings and knocking out the renovation of those classrooms. So that's a rundown of the potential cost for the project.
What is your recommendation, Mr. Narwold?
Did I take a drink and keep going? I would like to say that many of the items included in the motion passed by the board at January meeting have been accomplished. Architects been hired, a lot of those things have been checked off. In order to proceed with the project from this point, the $3.5 million expenditure cap obviously must be removed. There must be adjustments to the timeline. With the addition of 2 additional classrooms to the original project description, we can remove the requirement to relocate approximately 25% of the E.O. Muncie students to the buildings other than Anderson. One element we need to keep in mind is the anticipated reduction in enrollment, which is projected over the next few years due to data provided by the county birth rates. So with the design that we have, there won't be any need to relocate any of the E.O. Muncie students to other buildings. Mr. Horvath has been included in the meetings to discuss specifications of the building plans and has provided feedback on what is necessary for continued best practice instruction for our students. As we have discussed the plans and possible building configurations, we have confirmed that there is space allocated for all existing classes, programs, and services. We will work with the staff to determine the final location and room amenities as the construction progresses. We understand current building use is based on availability versus need, meaning there is space within the current facilities that is being used because it is available, not necessarily because it is needed for instruction. As a district, we have spent and continue to budget funding for innovative, flexible seating furniture and supplemental resources to support all students' needs within the classroom. Madison has exceptional students and staff with many great programs that we can be proud of. I believe there has been extensive consideration on this topic and evidence that recent facility upgrades at the junior high and the high school have created learning environments in small, existing spaces. I see this project as a way to continue our forward progress on a larger scale, to create an inviting facility for generations of students to come. Therefore, I recommend that the Board of Trustees remove the $3.5 million cap that was set at the January 17th meeting and authorize the rebid of Anderson Elementary project. I further recommend that the scope of the project be expanded to include site work for a new roadway, curb, and sidewalk, and parking necessary for safe travel to and from campus for pedestrians, personal vehicles, and buses. Expansion of the gymnasium, including new heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system. Sprinkler system for the entire building. The cost of this project to be paid through the available capital projects, cafeteria, and/or rainy day funds with no bonding, debt, or tax increase. All actions to implement this plan are delegated to the MCS administration staff under the direction of the superintendent with close coordination of the board. That is my recommendation. Added to this document is a tentative timeline and also details of the studies and meetings that have been, and surveys that have been conducted. Thank you.